What exactly did Barack Obama's chef see? You are now within minutes of horror, and your only chances of survival is hitting that like button. With that being said, let's continue on with the video. I was really back and forth on creating a video on this story, because you have to be careful when you're in the conspiracy theory world, when you're talking about conspiracy theories, because everything can be seen as a conspiracy. When people of power die, or people who are connected to people of power die, we always tend to see it as a conspiracy, and we don't realize that people do die all the time. People do have accidents, so not everything is a conspiracy. That is why I was very hesitant when making this video about the tragic paddleboarding accident that claimed the life of Barack Obama's chef, 45-year-old Tafari Campbell, on Sunday. People do drown. It's unfortunate because we as humans do underestimate water. You may not be the greatest swimmer, and a very powerful tide or current will come, and that's it. It'll take you away. It does happen. And before I made a video on this topic, I want to read the story in its entirety to find something that doesn't make sense, something that does not add up. And lo and behold, I found something, multiple things that do not add up. And thus here I am making a video on it. Tafari Campbell worked in the White House before staying with the ex-president Barack Obama and his family after Obama left office in 2016. And that was mainly because they liked his talent. He was a people person, and he was also very passionate about food. He was able to bring people together through food. And in the years that followed, they got to know him as a warm, fun, and extraordinarily kind person. Last weekend, he goes to the Obama's home, which is near or on a Massachusetts island. Barack Obama is not home at the time, and he decides to go paddleboarding. And this is where he has an accident where he either had a medical condition and he fell overboard, or he might have just tripped and fell overboard and drowned. And you would think, hearing this story, he was alone. He disappeared in the waters, nobody can find him, because he was all alone paddleboarding. And this is not the case. There was another paddleboarder who was on the pond with him at the time and observed him go under the water. But then they saw him come back up, struggle for a bit, and then go back down into the water. The police report states a male paddleboarder who had gone into the water appeared to briefly struggle to stay on the surface and then submerged and did not resurface. Now, like I said before, he was with another person paddle boating. It never states that this other person was in a separate paddle boat. Paddle boats can hold multiple people. And let's say he tripped and fell out the paddle boat. Did he really fall so far from the paddle boat that he couldn't grab onto it? That the person he was with couldn't grab onto him and bring him closer to the boat where he could hold onto it and attempt to aboard the boat again? The body of water they were paddleboarding in was in Edgartown Great Pond on Martha's Vineyard. Now, even though Edgartown Great Pond is called a great pond due to how large it is in its size, it's bigger than your average pond, it's still a pond and has the characteristics of a pond, separating it from a river or a sea. And one of the key characteristics of a pond and a lake is that they do not have tides. So if you were to fall out of a boat and land into a pond, you do not have to worry about swiftly being taken out into the water. You will more than likely fall next to your boat and stay there. Now, make no mistake about it, you can still drown in a pond because ponds are pretty deep. They can go anywhere from 8 to 11 feet deep, and I do believe the water that he fell into does go 8 feet deep, so it is deeper than the height of a human. And it's an even greater possibility to drown if you're to fall out your paddle boat if you're alone. But he wasn't alone. Somebody who was with him saw him reemerge from the water, struggling to stay afloat. He was attempting to stay afloat. So what was this person doing that was standing next to him, watching him try to stay afloat? Because like I said, if he fell out of his paddle boat on a pond, I can't imagine he would be too far from the actual boat. Now, ponds do indeed have currents, but again, they do move a lot slower due to being blocked by beaver dams, rock formations, among other things. So more than likely, when it comes to a pond, you're going to sink before you move away from your location. And that leads into my next question. How exactly did he drown that quickly in a pond? People who generally drown underestimate the waters they are in. They are taken by strong currents and tides. Even if, let's say, he went on this paddle boat with his companion with no life jacket, humans are still capable of floating for a while until, of course, they tire out. Let's say he even had a medical condition, he fainted, or had a heart attack that caused him to fall overboard. Again, he was still conscious enough to swim up and wave his arms around briefly for help. So this person in the police report that was with him never stated they tried to help him aboard the paddle boat. They just said they watched him go down, come back up, struggle, and then go back down again. And again, I have to ask, how far was he from the paddle boat where this person he was with could not help him? Now, emergency responders did arrive to Barack Obama's home around 7:46 p.m. when there was a report of a person who drowned in this pond. Police bring a side scan sonar, so they do have sonar equipment, and go to the boat's location, and they still cannot find Campbell. They cannot find him anywhere. Matter of fact, they do not find him until 10 o'clock the next morning. They recovered his body 100 feet from the shore. Now, I'm no pond expert, but I find it hard to believe it took them all that time to find his body. How fast can he float away or be taken away from his original location where he drowned in a pond? There were no reports made of rough waters during that time. Now, there's still an ongoing investigation. All signs still point to an accident, but I believe we all know how this is going to end. It's going to remain an accident, and it's going to stay swept under the rug. And you have to ask yourself, what exactly did this man know, see, or hear that caused him to disappear? Did Campbell get the Joan Rivers treatment?
I should do very well because I don't charge.
And do you think that the country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman president?
We already have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michele is a trans.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh. It's okay.
Or did he get the Michael Hastings treatment? Michael Hastings was a journalist who said he had something huge on Barack Obama that would end his presidency. On June 18, 2013, Hastings died in a single vehicle automobile crash in his Mercedes-Benz at approximately 4:25 in the morning in Los Angeles. Now, people die in automobile crashes all the time. But again, a witness to the crash said the car seemed to be traveling at maximum speed and was creating sparks and flames before it fishtailed and crashed into a palm tree. The official story states that he had a manic episode and drugs were involved. A narrative we always see, drugs and a psychosis. And thus, his story was swept under the rug. And we never learned what he had on Barack Obama. It never came out. Powerful people make people disappear. It happens. There have been a lot of mysterious deaths around the Clintons as well. And this is not a right or left thing either. If somebody was to ask me if I'm a Republican or a Democrat, I am neither, because they are both still different wings of the same bird. But what do you believe? Do you believe this was just an accidental drowning? Or do you happen to believe there's still a lot of questions to be had here? But in any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.